Welcome to the Saturday Night Live stream with Dr. Defacto. Doesn't look like anybody's out there yet. I'm just gonna fill up the dead air with some talk. I'm not gonna wait for people to show up. I'm just gonna get into the show. I'm not gonna go into the major topics. On some of the subtopics, though, we've already discussed quite a few things in the last week, and last night we talked about some pretty deep stuff. We talked about controlled programming and processing the information that is coming at the targeted individual, some of the logistical stuff. By the way, there's been a lot of noise going around. I don't know, people are out messing around. It's a weekend, so if there's noise or whatever, I apologize up front. There's been some stuff going on. I think the neighbors have some visitors. Uh, but anyway, oh my gosh. And I don't know if you can hear that or not. It sounds like somebody's dog is freaking out. But anyway, um, it's very important to process information correctly because yeah, you're dealing with a lot of situations when you're a targeted individual. Not only are you being conspired against, not only is your life different and more complex, but it can be very confusing. Okay, and a lot of people have taken different positions in the targeted individual community, and I've talked about the fact that I think that it's become a hunting ground more and more over the last couple of years. Anyway, I've noticed that. Okay, and there's a lot of people pretending to be targeted individuals. There are a lot of people out there who have channels that I'm not so sure that they're trying to help people. Okay, I think they're trying to draw people in and control the narrative. Okay, and there's probably individuals who are being recruited and experimented on. And there's a lot of obvious bait. I've talked about the lawsuits and some of the other stuff, some of the things that I believe are disinformation, even though I believe there's some legitimacy to some of the technological speculation that's out there. A lot of that stuff, is talked about as it is, it's pure fact, as people know, matter of factly, that it exists. I don't think all that stuff is necessarily true. And the thing that it all has in common is it completely rejects the spiritual application and takes it all into technology, whether it's V2K or something else. And now, anytime there's any type of spiritual narrative or anything that goes along with it, it is just done that way to confuse people. I've also heard, in fact, one of the people on the show, I think it was last week, said that if you try to rebuke something, if you're being attacked or whatever, and you rebuke it in Jesus' name, and it still happens, that it can't be, something spiritual. It has to be technological. I would disagree with that respectfully, and I can see the point of the individual who brought that up. But you see a lot of individuals in the Bible or examples where people they had to fight, whether it's Daniel and Gabriel had to go get Michael the archangel, or whether it's Christ telling his apostles that they had to fast and pray, and he rebuked, the whole generation as being faithless, and so on and so forth, when he was dealing with the individual who was obviously possessed, and the apostles couldn't cast it out. There's plenty of examples where there's a lot of battles, and this whole idea that's permeated the religious community of instantaneous deliverance or miraculous deliverance is just bait. It is there to confuse people. It is there to distract people and get them into a place where they are expecting something that is unrealistic and that is not consistent with the reasons God has subjected the world to vanity and the fundamental realities that are playing out in our world, and that is that we need to draw near to God and walk with him and learn and be patient and display faith and so on and so forth. It's not about trying to be blessed or get a bunch of money or having supernatural health all the time, or whatever, or money or whatever, or instantaneous deliverance, walking on a cloud above everything. It becomes very contradictive at that point. Okay, so we've looked at a lot of different topics. We've mixed this stuff together, hopefully in a way that is logistically sound and balanced. Yes, there's technology. Yes, there's a spiritual dimension. Yes, there's government programs. Yes, there's things that involve secret societies and occult things and witchcraft and all that stuff is involved. Okay. In fact, the targeted individual is experiencing a demonic oppression that can involve all those things, and it's like being haunted. Okay, and I don't know. I was kind of thinking about that when I put the picture up for the live stream, and there's so many different aspects that when you look at these things, they all start to weave together, whether you are dealing with the secret societies, whether you're dealing with the demonic stuff, with the religious stuff, with the government programs, all of it seems to have a common origin, and you have to understand the foundations of what you're dealing with in order to logistically put these things together and use wisdom. Okay, and it's not necessarily that you need to explain all these things to people, and it's not that you have to have the right answers all the time because some of these things are mysterious. Okay, it's just we don't have all the answers. Anybody that tells you they know all this stuff and they've got all the everything laid out and they show you this form and this is what's going on and there's a picture of a satellite beaming a type of frequency at someone's head, or you be careful. I mean, some of these things are going on. Some of it's speculative, and we only have little bits and pieces here and there. Okay, a lot of people are talking about different things concerning frequencies, whether it's scalar waves or radio frequencies, or whatever. It's interesting. Nothing wrong with talking about it, but when you start saying you got it all figured out, I don't know. I don't buy into that. I don't know. Let me see here. Let's take a look at the comments. Make sure we don't have a clown head in here. Take care of that stuff right away, hopefully. And a lot of times I don't pay attention. Okay. And we got ocean size again. I would very much appreciate your opinion regarding a question. I think we had that before, but I never did get the question. So maybe instead of saying that, maybe you should just put the question in there. You're usually the first one that shows up, ocean size. I appreciate you coming to the live stream, but I still don't have your question. That was quite a while ago. And I think that guy gets into the technological aspect of this, but I can't remember. It's been a while since I've watched his show. If he still has one, I thought he had a channel. And let's see, we got Nicholas Boserman, absolutely. A to Z Christianity, welcome. Okay, yeah, let's see what's going on out there. Okay, well, anyway, we'll go into some other things here. And I usually have a few things that I'm going to delve into. And, speaking of the targeted individual experience and processing information, is very confusing because the targeted individual is assaulted with so much stimuli. So many things are happening in someone's life when they get gang stalking, when they're attacked, when they're assaulted, when they experience a traumatic invasion into their life, when they're sensitized, they're conditioned, they're set up for gaslighting, and you get to the point we've talked about the derealization. Okay, and a lot of people believe that they are in a simulation or they're on a Truman Show or whatever. Okay, and some of the things uh, that people talk about are pretty interesting, and some of them, like maybe some type of a dark web conspiracy, are very possible. Okay, and I look at gang stalking as a type of awakening. Okay, in the sense that a lot of the people out there that seem to be just kind of bebopping around, they're going about their lives. They don't seem to have any problems, and they're there for lateral comparisons. I've talked about the menagerie that is set before everyone in the world, not only targeted individuals, and it is there to obfuscate the truth. And one of the things that targeted individuals have the benefit of is seeing the darkness, seeing the evil, seeing the malevolent forces, seeing the reality of all the crazy stuff that can really happen to someone. And that type of awakening is, well, I mean, it's very abrasive, but it can be beneficial at the same time. Okay. In other words, you can really see what's going on, even though it may be unpleasant. At least you know the truth. Okay. But what happens in that process? Well, you can start to question reality. That's one of the famous tactics of the perps, of the gang stalking methodology is to get someone to question reality and mold them and use mind control to get them to believe they're crazy, they're mentally ill, they're in a, some type of simulation or a Truman Show, or that everybody is reading their mind or everybody's watching them all the time. And of course, when you call the police up, or something happens, of course you can just tell them what's going on, or you can telepathically communicate with them, because of course everybody is watching you. Right? Well, no, that's not true. But you can see why some targeted individuals start to believe those things. Right? They start walking into convenience stores or shopping malls or wherever they are, and they believe that they're the focal point of attention, and they're always getting accused of being self-centered. You start to process information in a self-centered way. That is one of the designs of this harassment. Okay. And when you start to get out there in a type of psychosis, I think that all targeted individuals deal with, especially new targeted individuals, because you don't know what's happening to you. You don't know how to process the information. And the fact that you're getting attacked from so many angles and people are using personal information, and it doesn't seem like you can go anywhere without experiencing these things, will lead people into a place where it's either a very deep psychosis, or something that's mild. Okay. But it's something that all targeted individuals go through. And I've talked about that I've a lot of times I'll get accused of preventing people from getting treatment or whatever, or discouraging people from possible help from maybe a psychologist or psychiatry or whatever. But I don't think so, because really all I'm doing, and I'm assuming that the individuals I'm dealing with are experiencing legitimate harassment. Okay. I'm not psychic. I don't have telepathic powers. I don't know what's happening in your scenario. And like I said, I have to assume that that's what's going on. And I want people to process information in a way that is productive, so that they are not falling into the traps that are set up in the gang stalking program, which is to get you to read into things, to condition, sensitize the targeted individual, and get them in a place where they can be accused and labeled, discredited, and put away or incarcerated. Okay, you want to try to prevent that. Also, to give people affirmation, because it's very lonely to be a targeted individual. I'm going to look at the comments again, make sure a clown head is not in here. And sorry if I missed the question, Ocean Size. I'm going to go through here and see if you came through and asked me that. I may or may not know. I may have the answer. I may not have the answer. It's okay not to know something. When you use those words, I don't know. 3 words, that's something that's okay. Okay, there's a lot of things I have no idea about, and if I do, that's great. If I don't, well, we can always speculate. It doesn't look like there's a question. Wait, here we go. How is it possible to control a person's destiny or life path? How are TIs being so isolated? It must be some form of weaponry or frequency, beams, or whatever, force field, having no friends or a marriage. That's a good question, Ocean Size, and we did talk about that yesterday. I don't know if you watched the live stream, but we can go into that. Um, that's a really good question. How is it possible to control a person's destiny? That's great that you use that word. I've talked about that before. When you're looking at the foundations of gang stalking, you go into all different areas. I mentioned that at the beginning of the show, that you have a spiritual foundation. That's my opinion. Okay. If anybody out there disagrees, that's okay. We can agree to disagree. And yes, technology is involved. So, Ocean Size mentioned beams and frequencies and stuff. And you know what? Even when you get into the spiritual application of this, my opinion is, and of course I'm speculating, that they are using technology. When you get into the Book of Enoch and you get into all these other things, you are dealing with the mingling of the spiritual dimension with human beings, and that's where we got all this stuff. All the things you're looking at, the computers we're using, the smartphones, everything from light bulbs to microwave popcorn is something that came to us from somewhere else. We didn't just create it out of thin air. And that goes into another topic that we're going to get into tonight, and that has to do with gang stalking in the end times. Is there a connection? Absolutely. And like I've said before, you don't read a bunch of books from 1940 or 1930 where all of a sudden people were talking about having a mass delusion of being a targeted individual. And some people would say, well, technology plays into that too because everybody's connected and they're getting together online and they're feeding into this. Well, I don't believe that. Okay, because I was experiencing this stuff way before there was a targeted individual community, and way before we had all this, connectivity. And we're going to look at that, some of that stuff, getting back into the question Oceanside presented, the destiny of a targeted individual. Well, you know what? That when you find the philosophy of these people who are involved in the secret societies that start out with Freemasonry, they go into the Illuminati, goes into the Rosicrucianism, okay, which is, all of it's connected to Egypt. You go all the way back to the Tower of Babel, and you got hidden knowledge and secret wisdom, and it all has one thing in common, and that is a destiny Gnostic philosophy, right? Hidden knowledge and secret wisdom, and it's your destiny. When you go get your cards read, or you get tarot cards, you get all these other things. And what do people talk about? What's my destiny, right? What's the plan? What's the big idea? What's going on? What's the agenda for the targeted individual? Why is all this technology being used? Why are people attacking the target? I've talked about the fact that a lot of times, you're just in that part of the menagerie where you're legitimizing a lot of different things, whether it's psychiatry, the idea that people can just be crazy and paranoid, the obfuscation of all these things that are attacking the targeted individual. And then there's the coercion that's involved in groups that know what's going on and they see what's happening to the targeted individual, and they're like, well, I'm not going to say anything. If I say something, that could happen to me. Oh, you want to conform? You want to comply? Oh, you don't? Really? Well, you can be like one of those people, and you can lose your mind, be driven crazy, and will attack you, and you can put tinfoil up all over your walls, and you can have cameras, and you can walk around like a freak for the rest of your life. What do you think? You want to join or not? And of course there's coercion involved. But the secret societies and all these things, they have that one thing in common, that is a destiny philosophy. Okay, my exposure to the Rosicrucians, which was kind of a subset of a Freemason Rosicrucian thing, they have that philosophy. This is your destiny, or whatever. And they believe that they have all of them, by the way, which starts at Freemasonry and goes to the Illuminati, the Rosicrucians, the Committee of 300. Then you have the Council of 33. You go up into the Royals and the 13 families and all those things. They believe in the higher levels, not the grunts, not the people who are at the low level. The higher levels, they believe they have a rendezvous with destiny against the oppressive God of Israel. Okay. And when you look at all this stuff, even when you get into the mysticism of the polytheistic stuff, which is what they believe, okay, when you get into the New World Order, for example, a lot of people will believe that's the beast or whatever, that's the Antichrist. I don't believe that. However, it's something that we're obviously dealing with. Very powerful, very powerful. But the only reason that people associate that with the Antichrist is because they don't know his true purpose. And that's just my opinion. Okay, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm not. My opinion is that guy is here to attack the woman that brought forth the man-child, because we know the gospel is going to be preached throughout the nations, and the gospel hasn't infiltrated the world. And then the time of the nations is going to come to an end, and then the end's going to come, and that's where we're going to have Harmogate or Harmageddon, which is Armageddon, and that's going to be a slaughter of around the Middle East, of Christians and the Jewish people. Because that's going to be the final attack right before Jesus returns, because the Jewish people are under a veil of Moses. They've been dealing with a judicial hardening, and what's going to happen? Paul talks about that in Romans 9-11. If they repent and believe that they can be grafted back in, they were judged under the 5 successions of judgment of the Old Testament. I'm not going on a rabbit trail. I'm trying to bring something into fruition here. Because it all relates, okay? And it is a type of destiny thing. And so when you get into that, when you get into this whole menagerie here, and you get into who the Antichrist is, what the New World Order is, and what's going to happen right before Jesus returns, well, you're going to have a huge tribulation, and it's not a 7-year tribulation period. It's a great tribulation, right? And then you're going to have the great and terrible day of the Lord, right? So you're looking for two different things. You're not looking for a 7-year tribulation period or necessarily a pre-tribulation rapture. You are looking for harmoge, which is the battle of gods and men. Getting back into that destiny philosophy, they have that, but they don't understand. They don't understand. They are actually being tricked and seduced with that same delusion that comes from the secret knowledge and hidden wisdom that gets them to believe in this destiny stuff, which goes right into the question that ostracizes when they confuse targets, when they use all this stuff to control them and to manipulate targeted individuals or even people in the secret societies, the world, to believe the lies, okay, to control them, to manipulate them, right? Mind control. And a lot of that is the clairvoyant stuff that I've talked about before. And we got into that a little bit last night when you're dealing with things that have to do with a dimensional perspective. You have future events or foreknowledge and so on and so forth. They're outside of space time, however you believe they're getting that information. Okay. And so to be specific, not to beat around the bush too much, but I have to clarify what I'm talking about, that there's going to be that battle. Okay. The seven heads, which, as you're talking about Egypt, Assyria, Babylon, Media, Persia, Greece, Rome, the Ottoman Empire, it's going to be revived, which it is now. And they're going to gather 10 nations. They're going to flood Jerusalem. They're going to attack the Mount of Assembly and the woman that brought forth the man-child, the Jews that have been regathered over there. A lot of people don't believe they're legitimate. They are, okay, because what's going to happen? That judicial hardening is going to be removed when they see Jesus return, which he is going to. Okay. And then they're going to see the one whom they pierced. They're going to mourn as one mourns for their firstborn, and they're going to see and they're going to believe, right? Jesus said, you're not going to see me again. Did he say, blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord, right? Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. You're not going to see me again. When they see him again, when he returns, they're going to be saved. So if they take the mark of the beast or if they're killed in this mass slaughter that's going to happen, right? They're obviously, there's nothing that could be done at that point. And so that's the objective of the Antichrist. But as far as the New World Order is concerned, that's you're talking about something that is ridiculously immaculately put together. You're talking about a mass of control, of military power, and everything else. But it's completely separate from who the Antichrist is. Okay, but getting back to Oceanside question, how do they do it? Well, they do it the same way they've deceived the elite. Okay, and they use technology. They use all these little games. So, targeted individuals play all kinds of games. They are subjected to all kinds of different stimuli, technology, mind control. They're subjected to attacks, to workplace harassment. And what does that do? Well, that obviously has effects on your life, right? It hinders you in a lot of different areas. It prevents you from a lot of things. But the one thing that's, like I said before, when you are awakened to this, yes, it might affect your life as the rest of the world is living it. But where is all that going to take them? Well, it depends. But if you get all the blessings of this world, you don't know what's going on. If you're in the dark, it's not going to take you anywhere, right? It's not going to benefit you at all, right? But if you see what's happening, even though you're being hindered, even though it's abrasive, even though you might not be able to get married, getting back to the question that was asked or, whatever, and we're all dealing with that as targeted individuals, okay? Well, you still have the benefit of knowing what is going on and having the opportunity to escape the judgment that is about to come on the whole world. Getting into the question of end times and gangstalking, well, it runs along the same lines. This stuff is escalating, okay? The demonic activity is increasing, okay? You're going to have all the, I've talked about that. Even if you're one of those people that believe you're just being attacked by technology or the government, look at all the other things that are happening. Look at all the immorality in the world that has increased to the point where it's undeniable now, right? You have fulfilled prophecy, literally. You have Jerusalem recognized for the first time again in 2,000 years. It's not by mistake. The Jewish people have all their customs, all these things. They're very significant. Okay. And I'm going to take a look at the comments to make sure that there's no clown head in here again. And I'm going to see what Ocean Size is uh, saying about all the things that I did in replying to his question here. If I can find it, there seems to be a lot of questions out there. And I hopefully I got to what you were asking, Ocean Size, and that's what I believe. And that's what I believe. As far as what kind of weaponry is being used, well, that's anybody's guess. And it probably does involve frequencies and different things like that, because we're subject to those things. Science is not separate from the spiritual aspect of our existence. Absolutely melds together perfectly, in my opinion. Let's take a look and see. Okay, what do we have going on out here? Doesn't look like we have a clown head in there. No perps have showed up yet. That's good because you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to shut them down anyway. Anonymous 228 says noise campaign. Yeah, that's one of the things that is used against targeted individuals because once a target is subjected to this, once they know what's happening, once they start to feel the tension and it starts to build in every targeted individual's life, all these things have reciprocity. And then what do you have to do to the target? Well, you don't have to do a whole lot. At first the target doesn't even know what's happening. You don't even know why these people are acting weird. You haven't put it together. You don't know what the agenda is. You don't even know they're after you. You think they're weird. You're trying to figure out what's going on. At least that's what happened to me. I was like, what's up with you? What do you? And I thought maybe everybody was just on drugs or something. And then you figure out whether they're literally, trying to harass you. They're doing things, and then it becomes apparent after they start breaking into your house and all these other things that are going on. There's a connection between this activity that you're getting, and then the tension builds, the sense of injustice builds, and all you got to do is rattle the cage a little bit. All you got to do is remind the targeted individual in whatever subtle way they've been sensitized to, or whatever else, that yeah, we're right here. We're not going anywhere. Well, you're maybe not yet, but you will eventually. I've talked about the fact that targeted individuals are a worm on a hook, right? The people that are involved in this stuff are the ones that are really getting screwed. Okay, they are. Doesn't look like it, but that's the way it's going to be in the end. Take a look at the comments again. Well, and the other thing I'd like to say, if you're, it's especially if you're dealing with that where you live, get some, you got to get a security system. I know that there's a lot of things that they can do with that. You got to be smart. You got to put it in a place where it's not invading your privacy, or you just don't care. I don't even care anymore. People talk about, oh, they want to have complete control and set up this, police state with cameras. I got cameras everywhere anyway. As a target individual experiencing extreme harassment for over 30 years now, you want to put it, I wouldn't even care at this point. I mean, yeah, I care about rights. I care about freedoms. Okay. Don't get me wrong. But, it is what it is. As far as the security system, though, getting back to the noise campaign, you don't want to make it easy for these people. If they can just run up and, bang on your house or throw stuff at you, or, turn the stereo up or whatever, put speakers in your house or whatever and start trying to talk to you. Or, they'll do stuff like that too. They'll put things in the vents. I've talked about that. There are a lot of themes that go along with gang stalking. Okay. And you'll see that that's actually been popular for quite a while, even before there was a targeted individual community. You know, yeah, there was a voice coming through the vents, and it was telling me that yeah. But anytime someone's hearing voices, or they seem to be overreacting to noises or something like it, just feeds into the campaign that targeted individuals experience. It's emotional manipulation, it's agitation, right? Constant harassment to keep you in that mental state. And then, of course, eventually gaslight you or do whatever they want to do, mold you. I'm going to take a look at the comments again. Uh, Steve Wells says that I think my landlord has been hacked. Well, sometimes they get to people, and when when it when they get something you need, that really sucks. Or when they get in a place where it can affect your life, then the fact that the target individual is being subjected to all these things anyway is bad enough. But then it's just that much more leeway. You know, it's just it sucks. Nicholas Boserman, voice in the vents is V2K. That's why when they tear the walls apart and they find nothing. That's a good point. That's a really good point. That's a really good point because you see that in movies. I've experienced those things, and I think every single targeted individual out there that started experiencing this stuff, what always happens, right? You start tearing everything. Where's the camera? Where is all this stuff? How the hell are they doing this? And then you look nuts. You got your your bedroom is surrounded with tinfoil. You've got all this stuff going on. You've got cameras everywhere. You got all these locks and everything. And if all they have to do at this point, now not to mention the fact that everything's tore apart, you know, you you mess up, man, and it all kind of crashes in like a bad game of Jenga. You got to be careful of that. But it doesn't always work that way, though. They do use devices other than V2K. And the main thing that I would tell people, and you're going to be dealing with that, whether it's something like V2K or something demonic or a device or maybe some agitator that's doing a noise campaign or whatever you're going to be dealing with, pretend like you don't hear it. Pretend like you don't notice it. Okay. Don't react to it. Don't stop your activity. And if you got a security system, that's one of the bonuses. You don't have to run up and start geeking around and looking out the windows or running outside with a golf club or whatever you're going to do because they love that kind of thing. Right. Right. It's just distraction and it's emotional manipulation. They got to get you thinking about this stuff all the time. And eventually they want your brain to be reprogrammed in a way where you have this mental cycle to where you're always being triggered. You're always thinking about this. And of course, the inevitability is that you're going to experience that sense of injustice rise and rise in your life. And it's going to be that much easier to manipulate you. Getting back into the comments. Okay. Yeah, I used to run up on my roof with a 38. Yeah, they love it. They love it, man. And then of course, what are they going to do? They're going to accuse you or they're going to set something up, man. And was it because I used to do that, Mr. He-Man before I got crippled. I used to lift weights. I was a wrestler. I was into a lot of martial arts and I relied too much on physical strength because you know what? Didn't do me any good. I was outnumbered and I was outsmarted. They have this whole thing, set up in a way where they're way ahead of you. And until you really see what's happening, and that's one of the other reasons why I make this, these videos. You're just catching up to them. They're always one step ahead. I got you to react. I got you to do this. I'm triggering you. I'm frustrating you. I've got you thinking about it. You're paranoid. You're looking for it. And, if I can get a new targeted individual to tune into this and to learn the strategies, learn the methodologies of gang stalking, then that's going to be good enough for me. Okay. Because I want to frustrate their plans. I don't want it to be easy for these people to come in and manipulate someone, to drive them crazy, to turn them into a Myron May or get them, to play into some type of, program or whatever. Okay. That's not what I want. Okay. So we've talked a little bit about the processing information, the awakening of the targeted individual, the gang stalking, and the end times escalation of demonic activity and other things, which is at the foundation. I was going to talk a little bit about current events, but I don't know if I should. I think I might skip that. But I'll talk about it a little bit. What do you guys think we could be looking at in the coming year 2024? We've got the election. We've got all kinds of tension. We got a war that's starting in the Middle East. We've had the tension with Ukraine. We've got all kinds of things that are up in the air. We just got out of the pandemic. All these things are going on. What are some of the possibilities that we could be dealing with in the year to come? Because I think it's going to be wild. What do you guys think? I want to see. And I don't want there to be too much silence. I don't know if I'll be around. Well, that's unfortunate. Well, I certainly hope you will be. And if you're planning on running to another country, hopefully you can get away. But well, it doesn't appear that other people that have tried have been successful. But sometimes just staying on the move is therapy for the targeted individual. I think it's going to go great for me, at least for a little while. Well, okay. No speculations as to what could possibly happen in the coming year. A lot of people are talking about a possible cyber attack, maybe that it might even be a false flag. It's really wild how people can put the digital ID together with these possibilities that could just happen in the coming year. And then, of course, people are talking about the possible EMP strike. We have all this tension with the Iranians and so on and so forth. If you guys have watched that video that I made about a year and a half ago called Current Events, the beginning of the video talked about that. And I don't really want to get into it too much. I don't want to attract too much attention. Other people are talking about World War III, or that there might be another outbreak of something. I don't know. I don't know. But the election is certainly going to be interesting, isn't it? And all those things, moving into that, some people believe that it could actually prevent the election, that something's going to happen where they're going to cancel it. Wow. Imagine that. We're going to find out. And here we go. We are heading into it. We're not that far away. And let me see if anybody else has come out with any suggestions. They're keeping us on edge. Yeah, that's for sure. There's a buildup, and we are definitely heading towards a crescendo of some sort. And it's going to involve a lot of emotion. It's going to involve a lot of things. Mr. Beachwalker, it's my second. Yeah, you made it. You made it again. All right. Well, I've been trying to do this every day, and I had somebody ask me, what's your whole deal with this? Why are you doing a live stream every day? Because it's fun. Okay. No, I'm just kidding. It is. It's fun. It's therapeutic for everybody. There is, the added bonus of just getting experience on doing these things, because, and I've talked about this before, I would love to take this in a more professional direction, to where we're dealing with maybe some Zoom things, and some technology that's going to make it worthwhile, where people can interact, and we can get different testimonies, and schedule some stuff. But you know what, right now we're just kind of, I'm just honing in on this, and I'm trying to improve my communication skills and dealing with this stuff. And I'm trying to make it work out for everybody. And let's see what's happening in the comments. Well, thank you, Pamela. I try to make it presentable. And I used to want to do the radio thing. I think it'd be fun. But radio has changed. Now it's all internet, right? So you never know, and you can do that with a lot less money than you would if you were going to try and get an FM station that's separate from the internet, or how it all works. I'm not really that tech savvy. I did look into it, but it's a hell of a lot cheaper than buying an actual radio station, or multiple stations. So you never know. If I do come into some money, I definitely will do something like that, and it'll be a hell of a lot more than what we're doing right now. But for now, this is going to have to work. Let's see. Well, we kind of talked about the current event thing a little bit. And well, as far as the digital ID, they're going to have to take control of this, this huge, I don't know, internet of communication. They're going to have to do it. Okay. Digital ID is probably going to involve some things. Like I said, I'm not going to go into that too much. I'm going to see what you guys are talking about with it. And I'm going to kind of let you guys come up with some stuff for the end of the live stream, which we're kind of there. Unless you guys give me something to build on, we can talk about whatever as long as it's productive. Well, let's see. Well, A to Z said, I watch your videos. I just don't comment that much. That's okay. That's all right. I love suggestions, though. I love suggestions for topics because that's where I get most of my comments, or excuse me, content. A lot of times my mind just draws a blank. I'm a targeted individual just like all of you. And I'm dealing with harassment and, breaking out of that grind, breaking out of that mentality of thinking about this stuff or getting caught and triggered where you're in the past or in the future and trying to figure out what you're going to do or going down memory lane. It's deadly. And it's something that I think all targeted individuals deal with. And sometimes it's hard to break out of it. And something like this can distract you in a healthy way and get you into an area where at least you're trying to make it productive, realizing that it's a whole lot of manipulation and it's a whole lot of things that are done with a motive. And once you see the motive, once you see the agenda, you can process that information a lot better. And then you're not playing into their game, and you don't have the same effect because a lot of targeted individuals get caught up in that game paradigm. Of course, it's like playing a game, but really you're just being bullied. It's really all it is, tyranny. That's all it is. Call it what it is. And they like to pretend that there's a game paradigm involved because of course the house always wins. You're outnumbered, right? And it makes them feel powerful. I don't know. Well, whatever. Let's see what's going on in the comments. Hello, Lisa. Toxic Avenger again. The constant brighting hurts my eyes. It gives me migraines sometimes. What can I do to lessen it? Well, I would suggest. It sounds like you do a lot of night driving, unless they're shining it at your house or your dwelling or whatever as well. There are sunglasses out there that you can get that will prevent that from happening. So if you're dealing with a lot of that, I don't know how much they cost. I would imagine there's different prices on those. You could probably get a $20 job or up the ante and get like $100 pair or something. But I would Google that. I would check it out. I would see if you're dealing with that. I've dealt with it before. And as you age, of course, you get a lot of, well, I don't, well, trying to remember the technical term of that, halos and stuff like that. Anyway, when it comes to dealing with people shining their brights in your face. So I deal with that. And, they'll get behind you and, tailgate you and all that kind of stuff. Perps love that kind of activity. I try not to break check them when it happens, but every now and again, it's just too damn tempting, you know. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not suggesting that anybody does. That was a joke. All right, let's see. Well, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I don't think it's just a regular pair of sunglasses. I would look for night driving glasses that improve your visibility and prevent that type of effect when you're dealing with bright lights. I'm pretty sure I've seen it. It's been a while since I've seen one of those advertisements because I've actually looked for stuff like that. The pair that I've got, they're just for clarity, for nighttime clarity when you're driving, which when people see you wearing them, they're like, "Oh, that guy's wearing his sunglasses at night." He thinks he's cool, and you can play that song. You know what song it is. I'm not going to sing it. But they do. They help. They help you. They help you see. And for me, it helped the glare a little bit. But I think it was just a cheap pair. I think I got them at one of the auto stores. Maybe it was AutoZone or something like that. I can't remember. I've got quite a few pairs of sunglasses, but let's see here. Perps here turn their headlights on early before dark. Yeah. Well, they got to have fun. Nicholas Boserman seems to have the same problem. Let's see here. Well, I'm going to go back and look at some of the other comments. Okay. Well, anybody have a burning desire or a topic? Any question that would take us into a new area that I could build on? No, haven't heard Michael Barden. Is that what I haven't heard of those? Haven't heard of those gentlemen. Either that or I'm forgetting about it, which is possible. I've been through a lot. I've been fumed, I've been poisoned. I've dealt with sleep deprivation that's beyond anything anybody would even believe. I've been subjected to all kinds of harassment, and I'm surprised I even have the mental faculties to communicate, let alone do a live stream. So if I'm forgetting something, I'll put it up in the comments later. Okay. The new digital currency that's coming, how do you think the gang stalker will get their benefits then? Huh, interesting. Well, at that point, we are looking at the possibility of people who are getting paid for harassment, and that's one of the things that you're dealing with. And there's a lot of motivations for people to become involved in gang stalking. I've talked about that before, whether it's a social benefit or whether it's a monetary benefit or whether it's something else. And I've talked about some of the creepier aspects of gang stalking, where you look at the psychic vampire aspect or whatever. The speculation. I don't know, but as far as the digital currency, I don't know. I mean, you're looking at a lot of different things that I would have to speculate about on that. Whether people are, is there going to be a universal income to go along with it? You get rid of the dollar, you're looking at some pretty serious changes. Realistically, moving into your digital identity and so on and so forth. That's an interesting topic, and I've touched on that. I don't feel like I'm an expert, but I would imagine there's a lot of different ways that people could possibly benefit still without the secret cash thing under the table. But you never know. You could be dealing with a lot of things, and I would only be speculating on that. But I would say that if someone is benefiting from it, in other words, if people are doing it for a type of monetary reward, there'll be a way. There'll be a way for people to get something, whether it's privileges or maybe just merchandise. Who knows? Who knows? Okay, let's see here. Okay, oh yeah, the guy that blew up his house. I didn't. Sorry, I know who you're talking about now. Didn't recognize the name. I only looked at that briefly, and there's so many things out there that are in the news now that you can get distracted so easily. And of course, I've got ADD anyway, probably. Um, yeah, I haven't looked into that one, but it looks very suspicious. From what I heard about it, the guy was being persecuted, and who knows? I don't know. I mean, I'd have to look into that. Rather than to make a comment about it out of ignorance, I'm going to have to look into that one and see what transpires. And you never know, because a lot of the stuff you hear in the news is, propaganda anyway. So, okay, let's see here. I haven't watched Look Out for Charlie in quite a while. It was interesting. Some of the stuff on there I thought was interesting, but I don't know. I have no idea, uh, because I haven't watched his show for a long time. In fact, it's probably been over a year. But, a lot of times you can just forget. I have so many subscriptions. I'm actually probably subscribed to that guy, and I haven't watched it. I mean, I've got so many subscriptions. I probably got like 500 subs that and I have to go through and clear some of those out. I can just get lost when I start going through all of them. Oh man. But from what I remember, he had a pretty interesting channel. That's about the best I could give you right now. Okay. Well, I'm kind of running out of ideas, and I'm just looking at the comments here. How many years did they gang stalk you? Well, and I've mentioned this before that that the overt, very aggressive stuff started in 1993. And if there's it depends on how you look at it. There's a lot of people that will say, "Well, my gang stalking started when I was 3." Because they were experiencing maybe gaslighting in the home, or they were dealing with weird stuff, or demonic attacks, or there's all kinds of things that happen to people, even from childhood. And I've mentioned that before, that people can experience that type of critiquing and setup and foreshadow stage, even from when they're a little kid, because ultimately, and I talked about that yesterday, that there is a plan for your life. Okay. There's a plan for you. And even though you might be in a government program or being attacked by this, that, or the other, at the foundation, there is a plan, there is a motive, and everyone is subject to the tyranny of the principalities and powers until Christ returns, and they set stuff up in advance, and the way that they deceive the elite, and all the things that I've talked about in prior live streams and videos, is based on uh, wisdom they get from either a dimensional perspective or from God to test people, or however you want to process that. Foreknowledge in some way, shape, or form, whether you're dealing with the tarot cards or the soothsayers or whatever. And the same thing applies to targets and the gang stalking that happens to you and that started whenever. Well, there's a plan and there's a setup and there's an obvious motive. And when you look at all that stuff, really it just depends on how you're processing it. It could probably started for all of you when you were children, but the overt harassment and all the aggressive stuff, 1993. Yeah. Okay. Well, guys, I'm running out of material and there's other things going on, and my cat's starting to try to beat through the door here, and she wants to get in. Yeah. So thanks for showing up, guys. Thanks for participating in the live stream. I'm gonna keep this up. Hopefully, I'm gonna try to do this every day, and if not, whatever. I'm gonna try to think of things that are gonna be beneficial for everybody to talk about and relate with concerning gang stalking. I'm gonna try to I don't know, put a positive spin on this and remind people that this can work out for your good, even though it's abrasive, even though it's unpleasant. These things can benefit you, and now that you've been awakened to this, hopefully, you can turn this into something that is going to benefit you for eternity. And I'd like to thank everybody who supports the channel. The link is always in the description. Be good to yourselves. Be safe. God bless.